back to the Rich, Hot, and Free Entrepreneur here on Northwest Digital News. Carolan Deacon is our co-host on the show. Carolan, we're going to talk about how to achieve more by doing less. So all of our lazy viewers out there who all of a sudden just pricked up their radar, we're going to help you achieve more success by doing less. So where would you like to start, Carolan?
You know, I've been in business for myself for about 6 years. And, you know, I started with the mindset of there's got to be an easier way to make a lot more money. And that was kind of contraindicative of how I had been taught in school and in college and things like that. But I went into this with that mindset. So it's something that I didn't have to overcome. And I start off by saying that you need to know that that's the case. This is not about how hard you work, blood, sweat, and tears. And there's no reward at the end of your life for a martyrdom and sacrifice over and over again. There's smarter ways to live. There's better ways to live. And you've just got the opportunity to make 1,000 choices a day that are going to put you in alignment with more money, more freedom, and more joy. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I think that the easiest place to start is physically. So when, you know, I work with a lot of people from all over the world, and one thing that comes up is their physical status. In other words, how much energy they're putting out physically. If they've got kids, if they're working some sort of physical job, and not everybody is sitting in front of a laptop all day. You know, that there are still plenty of people out there moving and grooving. So my take on that is first take a minute and delegate the tasks that require physical energy that somebody else could do a heck of a lot better than you. That could be house cleaning. That could be lawn care. I mean, by far, most of my clients, that's the first place we start. Pay somebody to clean the house, pay somebody to take care of the lawn. Unless you absolutely love doing it, you know, then great, keep it in there. But delegate those tasks that do not make you feel light and energized. Reserve your physical energy for cardio where you sweat, and lifting weights, especially for women. That's really important. We've got to lift those weights because as we age, the fat tends to stay on a little bit more. I don't want to get into health coaching. I have that background, but we're not going there. So what I've learned is to keep that cardio. It keeps those neural pathways sparked and alert. And you've got to have the weights. It just kind of gets that core in motion, and that's your power center. Moving on to emotionally, and I think you and I talked a little bit about this last time where, you know, you got to take a long, hard look at the people you're letting get access to you. And you got to clean the slate of any energy vampires. And an energy vampire is somebody who, when you leave their company, you're drained.
Bingo.
You're drained. They have sucked the life right out of you. And I know everybody watching this knows somebody who does that. Does it mean they're bad, evil people? No. I use the term vampire just to create a visual. It just means that they're not your people. And you've got to snip that. Even if they're family, minimize it. Seriously. Sometimes you'll even see somebody change because of that. They'll realize what they're doing, but most often they don't change. So you just got to keep on doing what you're doing.
Well, you know, to that point, Carolan, we all have people around us who sit in our circle of influence. And it's okay to have people in that circle of influence who aren't necessarily going places that we're going in life, but that person still can't be a negative influence in that whole situation. So totally agree with you.
Absolutely. You know, I realized that I communicated with some people in my life over the past year via voice memo. And before I'll send something, I'll check that. And I noticed that with certain ones, my voice sounded light and happy and excited and articulate. And then with other people, I noticed my voice, even leaving a similar message, felt heavy. And it was because of the person it was because of the effect in the past I've had with that person. So that too was another red flag. So pay attention to that. Pay attention to how you feel. Pay attention to how your voice changes. Your body language changes when you're around certain people. But usually you don't need that. Usually you're just going to feel tired. And you've got to clear the slate.
I would add one little piece, depth of consideration for somebody. So if you have this negative Nelly, and I don't mean that they're just overly negative, but they're like these emotional vampires, as you just mentioned. If they're sucking that life energy out of you, This is something that I actually, so I look at this just even a little bit deeper than that, is that I not only discontinue that contact with that individual, but if I have friends around me who continue to come to give me updates on that person, I will simply say, you know, if you keep doing that, I'll stop talking to you too. Because I am deliberately removing that negative situation from my life, and I don't need the updates on it. So, done.
Yeah, exactly. Good. That's going that extra step to completely clean the slate. I love that. That's awesome.
That's exactly right. So important.
The way to do it. And, you know, and along those lines, when you're talking about clearing out the people clutter, the negative Nellies, I've never heard that before, or the energy vampires, you know, what you just said is something that I had written down. We're kind of in sync on this. You know, the people that energize, don't judge ahead of time the people that really might just be your energy pops, you know. Zero judgment. They may not be going where you're going. They may not have the education you have or not have, or they may not have the same marital status, whatever. It doesn't matter. I've learned that over and over. Just when I think I've got my personality type nailed down, God surprises me big time. And the people that we surround ourselves with, the only qualifying factor that I put in there is that they be good-hearted, positive, big thinkers. But everything else, it's all over the map. So in other words, don't, you know, go into it with an open mind. Just pay attention to how you feel. I've learned that. So that's the emotional way to get rid of doing more, you know, reserving your energy, your precious energy. And mentally speaking, and you and I touched on this before, for me, I'm not a tech person. That sucks me dry. And I do not like doing a lot of it. I end up doing some of it that's very creative, but the rest, I hire out for that. And I think you do the same thing. So a lot of the clients that I work with where they have online businesses, they're offering a service or a product, there's usually a lot of tech, and that's usually not them. You know, this is one thing we work on, is to get rid of those tasks that just somebody else can do a lot better than you, and you don't really love doing them. That is my breakdown, physically, emotionally, and mentally, of how to achieve more by doing less. When you take these steps of conserving your physical energy into vitalizing your health, instead of doing stuff like housekeeping and lawn care, unless that's your thing. When you get rid of the energy vampires in your life, when you delegate the mental tasks that require a lot of energy for you, but that somebody else can knock out in 2 seconds, you're opening space for a lot more money, a lot more freedom, and a lot more joy.
A few years ago, I was in Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and there was a big group of business leaders that were there. And they asked me to speak at this particular event. There was a few of us that were speaking there. And I got up and walked around the room, and I shared the names of 10 people and asked if anybody recognized those names. And nobody did. And the interesting part is all of the names that I put up there, they were the baseball players who had spent the most amount of time in the minor leagues, never having made it to a major league team, but had spent the most amount of time in the minor leagues. And I said, there's a reason why you don't recognize these names, because they all major in the minors. And if you spend your time in your business and in your life majoring in the minors and getting yourself all tied up with all these little things that really don't matter in the grand scheme of things, you'll never be sitting on that major league field and hitting home runs in your business either. So you can be like one of these people who just disappear because you're majoring in the minors. So it's so many different things that physically, emotionally, and mentally that you can elect to delegate or give to others who can actually do that task better. And if you're one of those types of people that say it doesn't get done right unless the boss does it, you're probably one of those people that majors in the minors very regularly. So, all right, well, great stuff, Carolan. We'll get deeper in this subject as well in an upcoming show, but great information on how to achieve more by doing less, both physically, not both, but physically, emotionally, and mentally here on Rich Hot Free Entrepreneur with Carolan Deacon. Thanks to everybody who joined us here on the broadcast. Kevin Hunter and Carolan Deacon. Take care. This concludes today's live programming on Northwest Digital News. Thanks for joining us for this special broadcast. Heard around the world in more than 70 countries on YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, Facebook, and Twitch TV. If you enjoyed a story or guest we had here on Northwest Digital News and would like to strut your stuff on the broadcast, email us today at wainfo2017@gmail.com or call or text 360-545-3501. We're always interested in unique stories, topics, and guests to share with our worldwide audience. Before you go, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up and comment on the live stream. And for those of you who'd like to financially support the broadcast, you can do so at patreon.com/Northwest Digital News. We thank you for your patronage. On behalf of Chris Bornstead, Kyle Torgeson, Stephanie Hunter, and all the people that made this broadcast possible, I'm Kevin Hunter. Till next time, take care.